started my entrepreneurial journey, if you can say that, at around 15 years old. I came up with, it was when everyone was wearing their Lance Armstrong Livestrong bangles. If you remember, they were yellow bangles that people used to wear around, and I went to all-boys school in Johannesburg and approached the headmaster of my school and said, well, could I perhaps sell blue and white bangles matching my school colour? He said to me, well, I'm not going to allow you to let my students wear them the whole week, but you can have them wear them on Fridays. I ordered about 2,000 bangles from China for about R2 a bangle and brought them into my school, sold them all as a Friday bangle that's supporting the school, and sure enough, they went completely viral. Sold all of them, had to order another about 2,000 bangles as far as I remember, and luckily the quality wasn't so good. They didn't last that long, so it forced people to rebuy every 2 weeks, and it was my great first exposure to entrepreneurship. Part of the requirement was that I gave all the money away to charity, but it ended up being a fantastic experience because we used the money. I put a team of my schoolmates together and built a house for a homeless lady. To be able to give someone keys to the house that you've raised all the money for was definitely one of the most, well, definitely a life-changing part of my childhood. You're brought up in an education system that has a very, perhaps a corporate focus. When we're young, we're told to aspire to be accountants and aspire to be lawyers and aspire to be consultants and whatever the case may be, because people generally believe that in South Africa you're going to do better being one of these fans, having a fancy job title or a fancy degree behind your name. But no one really focuses on creativity and the people at the get-go who really create these businesses and start them from the ground up. And it took me a long time to convince the people around me, my friends and my family, that I didn't want to be an accountant. And I'll never forget my grandmother looking at me and said, well, no, what are you? And I couldn't say I'm an accountant, I couldn't say I'm a lawyer or a doctor, and in my background or in my culture, that's perhaps not or perhaps a little bit frowned upon, and that didn't ever bug me. But in the context of South Africa, we need to show that more young people, it doesn't matter what title you have behind your name or what you can be called, it matters what you've done and what you're going to do and what your dreams are. And the more we focus on people's dreams and what they're going to accomplish, the less we have to focus on what business or what organization they're going to go join and what they're going to be able to put next to their name. Firstly, we wanted to create something that was engaging online, and we realized all students around the country spend a lot of time on chat interfaces. So Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, WeChat, all these chat platforms. And we took academic content and we rewrote it in a chat style. And this broke it down to little bite-sized chunks, and that created engagement because it was something that was familiar to the students, but it also allowed us to monitor whether students were working through the content or not. So how it works in the school now is a teacher will tell the students to work through a chapter of their school curriculum on our platform at home. So the students will log onto their tablet or their computer, work through the content, and the teacher can then, the day before, the morning of the lesson, log on and make sure that every single student has actually worked through the content. And on the first day of class, the teacher can launch into practical or group discussion and solve problems in the class. And that really is a great example of flipping the classroom or blended learning in South Africa. And at the moment, very few people have got that right around the world. So we're really excited to lead that, lead the blended learning environment in South Africa at the moment. But quickly realized that a teacher at St. Cyprian's doesn't necessarily want to help students at St. Stithians and Bishops and St. John's. They want to help South Africa. So I went on a bit of a, perhaps at the time, a bit of naive, but a journey to try and bring content to South Africa. And what I found from that was 43% of South African high school learners don't have access to any content whatsoever, no textbooks, nothing. We realized that we were sitting with really, really good content, and we wanted to figure out a way to distribute to these students. So the government at the moment are trying programs where they're distributing tablets to to all South African students, and that works to some extent, but also doesn't, because first you've got to find the content to work on the tablets, and you've got to make these things, and there's a lot of data connectivity, and there are a lot of problems around it. And what we realized was every single one of these students is sitting with either a bottom-end smartphone or a feature phone, and we needed a way to access them. So we approached the Mixit guys, and Mixit is actually the biggest social networking platform in South Africa right now, with more than 8.3 million active users on it. And we said to them, well, we've developed academic content in a chat style, and you've got a chat application. How about we distribute academic content over Mixit? And they were very excited and supportive of the concept. Obviously, there'd be no research to show this was going to work or not, but they said, well, if you guys can pull it off, we'll support it. And we released the full grade 8 to matric maths and science content on Mixit in about 2 months ago now, and since then we've seen over 180,000 downloads of our app, and more than 1 million chapters of content from grade 8 to matric that's being worked through by students. About 3 weeks ago, we had a girl who we pinned down to Northern Cape post in our feedback column that she just learnt Newton's 2 on a bus. And she thanked us, and I can tell you now that was almost a better experience than giving a person keys to their own house. Giving a person education gives them a life, and I think that's why we're out to do what we're trying to do. It's extremely tough. It's lonely. Your emotions all over the place. I mean, still, I'll go through a day that I've had the worst day. I've been turned down by 5 schools, but the next day I'm teaching South Africa. It's a completely up and down ride. And what's important for me, and what I've realized lately, is to consistently set yourself new goals and new targets. Because when you meet them, you get that payoff, and you feel better about yourself, that you're like, all right, now I'm ready to tackle the next one. And then unless you're constantly aware of what your next step is and what your next goal is, you can fall into quite a bad space quite quickly. I remember last year, towards the end of the year, I probably spent about my first 3 years of university convincing my father that I wanted to start my own business straight out of university. I wasn't interested in corporate, I wasn't interested in consulting, and I was offered a job towards the end of last year, and it was a very, very, very healthy package for a person with limited, but I guess quite a lot of experience at that stage. And I kind of phoned him up and I said, hey Dad, I've got this great job offer, maybe it's time to pack in the bag and take it up. And he just put the phone down. He didn't even speak to me. He said, I can't believe you're phoning me about this, and he put the phone down. And I realized, what the hell, of course I'm going to be doing what I'm passionate about and what I dream about. And yeah, you have low points, but I'm doing what I love every waking hour, and I mean, who else lives in a space like that? So the high points definitely outweigh the low points, and changing people's lives, well, you can't ask for anything better than that. My name's Hoernle. I am a youngpreneur.